Now in this one, we're going to be taking a look at the color grading of a video clip. So I'd say that realistically, no matter what the project is, always color grade by using an adjustment layer. And by using an adjustment layer, you don't even have to nest the clips. So to do this, we're going to hover over this track right here, right in line with our video clip number 1, but below all of our effects because we don't need to color grade those. We're going to select Add Track. Now what this does, it moves everything up without changing the position. And then if we head over to our assembly, so we click up in the top right hand corner, select the assembly panel, all of our tools and video clips and logos we've imported and sound effects are all in this assembly panel. So we can see exactly what we have in our video editing project right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to select new item down here, adjustment layer right here, select OK, it's already got the right default settings. It's going to come up here as plain black, and we're going to drag and drop it directly onto our timeline. Now we're going to head back over to the editing panel because it makes it a bit nice so we can see more stuff about what's going on. And we're going to drag and drop this adjustment layer to the end of our clip. Select the adjustment layer, and what this is, it's like a little mask over the top of our video. So for example, now whenever I go to color grades, I'm not actually changing the original video clip right here. I'm changing like a mask on top of that clip. So it's like a really cool little tip and trick. So if I now go to the panel at the top here, I select color. I'll see I've got basic correction right here. Can change, the warmth, change that back to 0, the tint, which is obviously a bit extreme, but sometimes if you're doing something crazy, you might want that. The saturation, which makes you go red and orange as well. Or I can just change the general brightness, the general increase the blacks versus make it more faded and washed out. Highlights, increasing the whites. Shadows, increasing the whites again realistically and increasing the fade, and then real whites, make it nice and bright, and then the blacks. So that is, play around with those, you'll find exactly what you're looking for. I can reset it like this to go back to the default. I can press auto, and Photoshop has a go automatically color correcting what they think works best. There's a few default LUTs that you can install, and I'm going to show you how to install certain LUTs properly later on. Let me reset this, have the LUT installed, and yeah, you can see right there, it's quite a, it's all right. It's all right. But the way I like to get and do stuff is I like to get a bit creative. So I'm going to reset this. I'm going to go to none, and I'm going to leave basic correction for now. I'm going to head over to the creative panel, and I'm going to look at all these default settings that we can play around with and select and see what kind of color grading essence we'd like to fulfill. So there's, warm, there's blue ice somewhere around here. Right here, it's a bit of a cooler feel. I can go to something quite neutral, something black and white like this, and so on. Now, a cool thing to note is when you're checking, what progress you've made in the color grade, another great thing about doing the adjustment layer is we can then hide the adjustment layer by clicking this eye, and we get the original back. We can untick this eye, and this layer comes back right here. We can do the same with the effects. We can press the eye, they disappear, press the eye again, they come back. So it's a great way to check whenever you're using an adjustment layer what difference it's actually making. So for me right now, obviously I don't want to have it black and white. I'm going to find one that looks quite nice. Maybe I'm thinking, it's a bit strong right now. This looks quite nice, a bit orangey though. Maybe maybe big HDR. Let's see how we get on with that. So once I've got the right one I want to use, I'm going to tone it down. You rarely want to be over, 35, 40 in a situation like this. I think the optimum is between 20 and 30. Apparently a video editor professional told me that when I was starting out. And from this baseline, we can see I've just got a bit more color in the video. I've just got a bit more saturated clips, and it's looking actually quite nice. So from here is when I start to play around with, maybe adding a tiny bit of a fade, just a tiny bit. The clip's already quite sharp, so I wouldn't change that. Maybe, do I need any more color in there, a bit more vibrance? I don't want to look too red. Maybe a tiny bit of vibrance. If I change the saturation, it becomes a bit too much. So I'm going to type in 100, get the default number back right there. Now, this is when I like to go back over to the basic correction and play around with it just to make it, maybe that little bit sharper, maybe that little bit nice and bright. Increase the shadows maybe a tiny bit more because right now the clip is quite dark, especially on my t-shirt. I've had a little go on changing the blacks. I don't want it to become too faded, but maybe a nice little one here how are the whites doing? The whites are quite fine anyway. And you'll see that, I'm bringing this clip to life just very subtly. And that for me is what it's all about when it comes to color grading. Now again, there are some curves that you can change. But for me, when you're starting out, S curves and so on, they're not really as vital to use as just getting and perfecting the creative and basic correction tabs. Again, we can increase the shadows here using much more of a manual way. And again, you can undo small touches you make whenever you're using these filters by pressing undo at the top, or Command Z, Control Z if you like using shortcuts. So thank you very much for watching my tutorial today. If you found it helpful or useful, please do check out my online course down below. It teaches you how to become a great video editor. No nonsense, straight to the point, just like my teaching style. And it also includes all of these tips and tricks like you've seen today in one course. So I promise you, it is a great use of time. I hope you check it out. Thank you for supporting me and the channel. Leave a like, take care, subscribe.